Welcome back, y'all, to yet another episode of the Cinematic Soul podcast, where we break down movies that moved us, shaped the culture, and still hit just as hard today. I'm your host, Ian. Today's a tough one because this movie is a movie that means a lot, but some of the scenes just hurt to watch because they're very realistic, they're very true. But at the same time, the acting in those scenes is hard to ignore, especially one in particular. The movie has sisterhood, survival, and defiance. And that movie is Set It Off, the 1996 classic. So let's talk about it. Set It Off was directed by F. Gary Gray, written by Kate Lanier, and this wasn't just another action movie with black stars in it. This was a statement. It was a film that put four black women front and center in a genre uniquely and usually built for men. It starred Jada Pinkett, Queen Latifah, Vivica A. Fox, and Kimberly Elise, which oddly enough, this was her first feature film performance. It was just a powerhouse cast with powerhouse performances blending some action and deep emotional weight all in one. The 90s was a golden era for black cinema. And funny enough, New Line Cinema was on fire in that decade. This is the same studio that gave us House Party, Menace, Friday, and Love Jones. Like, talk about range. From House Party to Love Jones, all black excellence. And they proved that black stories weren't just worth telling. They were both successful and influential. So when Set It Off hit theaters, it was just a cultural moment from the soundtrack to the film itself. Now, they made this movie on a $9 million budget. And that movie ended up grossing over $42 million, which for one, a black female-led action film, that's a huge difference. They made some money. And I've been doing some reading, and there were some critics who were mixed on it. Some audiences didn't like it, but the audience showed up, especially the ones from the culture and who support the culture. They showed up and showed out, and they turned this into, in a way, a cult classic. So let's break it down from the cinematography to the social commentary and that unforgettable ending. I gotta talk about it. That part will probably take the longest because that scene, first of all, the way they filmed it was just fantastic. And when I watch it, the way my brain works, I had to write down the way I felt about it because it's just second to none. So buckle up and let's set it off. One thing about F. Gary Gray, he gonna make it look good now. Coming off of Friday, which came out the year before this, he shifted from comedy to intense, very intense drama. He had a music video background, and you could see that vision all over this film, whether it was the slick visuals to the dynamic movements of each scene to scene, and you can tell he has a deep understanding of how to blend music with storytelling, which in films like this is very important. The film kind of opens shaky, literally. It was that first bank robbery, and that was the scene where Vivica A. Fox is caught in it, right? She's the bank teller who made us feel the chaos and fear that she felt. And the camera made sure we did. Because of that shakiness, it caught all of those emotions. And then when she got fired for simply knowing one of the robbers, right? That's when the camera got cold and still, and it was more of an emphasizing of her powerlessness, right? The fact that no matter what, no matter if she was really in with it or not, she couldn't change the way they viewed her involvement or the way she wasn't involved. She couldn't change their minds. And that's reality for a lot of us. When somebody's mind is made up and they already know what they think about us, that's it. There is nothing you can do. But once the four leagues started to rob banks themselves, then the camera shifted. It became more smoother and it was more smooth tracking shots, and it made us feel their confidence, their adrenaline, and then later you could absolutely feel their desperation. Early in the film, it was kind of dimly lit. The world was dimly lit. You got the grimy janitorial offices to the flickering fluorescence. As they make money, we started seeing them in a more richer, warmer light, which was obviously very intentional. Like I said, F. Gary Gray knows what he wants you to see and how to make you see that in his films. It had a golden glow where you can kind of get a feeling of their temporary sense of freedom. Well, at least they thought they had the freedom, right? There were windows and bars everywhere in this movie, which I think also was done on purpose. When they were at work, they framed them behind doorways and metal gates, and they were visually trapped. The visuals are very important, y'all, because I know some of you are like me, where you notice these things when you watch these films, and you think to yourself, I wonder if that means something. And then you go to Google and you try to find out all you can to make sure you're not going crazy, because what you saw was absolutely intentional. And that's what they did in this film. The contrasts were subtle, but very powerful. And power, unfortunately, was their downfall. At its core, Set It Off is about four friends against the world. Sisterhood, loyalty. You got Stony, Cleo, Frankly, and TT, who were ride or die. They were ride or die, which is rarely seen for black women on screen, especially at that time. While there were definitely upgrades, if you will, from the black people in films in the 40s and 50s to the 90s, we still had a long way to go. And we still, in 2025, have a long way to go. This movie was unlike traditional heist films where the criminals are often lone wolves. This movie was about a family born out of struggle, which is also very realistic for some people. Even when they made bad choices, and they made some in this movie, I was still kind of rooting for them. And I know some of y'all were too. And the reason they were even robbing banks to begin with, I kind of sympathized with it. Each and every woman was pushed to the brink in their own way. Whether it was Frankie losing her job over nothing that she didn't have anything to do with, Stony losing her little brother to police violence, which that was the beginning of the movie, but still that felt heavy, and especially because on my most recent watch, I couldn't help but think about cases in real life that were similar to that. The reason this boy got killed, it's heart-wrenching, man. And then TT had her child taken away because she was struggling financially. Cleo was she was tired of being tired. And she was tired of being disrespected. Now, by the time they decide to rob banks, the real question is, why would they do this? Or is that the question? Maybe the question that some people were thinking is, how could they not do this? You start to wonder. Now, when they did do it, of course, they had to pay some consequences, and the consequences were heavy. And speaking of heavy, the final scene, uh, you know what? Let's talk about it. Now, let's talk about one of the most powerful scenes in film history. So here we are. This is it. You've been, robbing banks. You got some money. You feeling confident. You feel like it's y'all against the world, and nothing can stop you, right? All is going your way until it doesn't. Then what do? The police had them cornered. There was a tunnel, but there was nowhere to go. The sirens started wailing from both ends. Cleo, she was driving her Impala, the crew in the car with her, but they all knew what that meant. They were literally trapped with nowhere to go. And I could feel that emotion. I could feel that tension as a viewer of this movie. Now, I had seen it plenty of times before my most recent watch this week, but this time watching it and really paying attention to the details and the choices that were made in this moment made it even more gut-wrenching when I got to the end of the scene. Inside the tunnel, the tires screeched to a stop. Cleo, she exhaled because she knew she wasn't getting out of this alive. There's no way. Now, can her girls make it? Maybe. So she turned to him. She's talking to Stoney and Frankie, and she's like, listen, in her own calm but urgent voice, she told them they had to go. She's like, look, y'all got to go, take the money and run. Now, where they going to run to in that moment? Obviously, not too far, because they literally had them surrounded. And after that, the camera lingered. There was a heavy pause. You could see the red and blue lights flashing against their faces, and they know, whether they want it to be or not, this is goodbye. Frankie and Stoney hesitated. They didn't just, okay, cool, bye. Like, obviously, Cleo's their girl. So they don't want to do this because they don't know how it's going to turn out for them. But they know for you, what you're thinking, it's probably not a good ending. They didn't want to leave her, but in that moment, the moment stretched. There was no music temporarily for a few seconds, which was very intentional. It was just their heavy breathing and just the noise from all the sirens. Tony's eyes were filled with tears, and then Frankie was like, no, no, no. Cleo she gave a small nod, which was her way of saying, it's okay. The acting Queen Latifah did in that moment with her eyes, it was just, man, you could feel everything she felt and everything they felt looking at her. So then she lied to him, right, just to get them to leave, which was clever, but still like, why are you doing this? Don't do it. She told him, I'll catch up with you. And then Frankie and Stoney, they clutched her in like a tight hug. And that was a hug where you could feel all the desperation come out in that moment. The three of them crying, but Cleo still stayed strong, or as strong as she could. Because in a way, she was the leader. She was the one who couldn't just show emotions and be crying all day. She had to be the strong friend. And then the background noise started to fade, but their emotions did not. They got out of the car and they disappeared temporarily. And in that moment, Cleo was alone. Cleo's hands were shaking and she pulled out those cigarettes, those cool cigarettes. There was a close-up shot on her face, and while it was calm, you could tell she was getting ready for the end. She's thinking to herself, how do I want to be remembered in this moment? And then she lit the cigarette, inhaled deeply. Here we go. Here's the drama. The camera cuts to her POV, right? The camera cuts to what she sees in that moment. You see a wall of police cars, this dark tunnel, and that music in the background slowly comes up. But boy was it heavy. In the background, there's a song called Up Against the Wind playing. And if you've seen this movie, you know what song I'm referring to. People have sampled it, like The Game, for example. A couple other rappers sampled this song because for the culture, this scene was everything. While it was sad, it was heavy and it was emotional, and the music was perfect for it. The song was by Lori Perry and it began to play. Like I said, it was soft at first. It was slowly coming in, but it kept growing frame by frame. When she moved his hand, when she did that, it kept growing. Cleo grips the steering wheel. Her breathing slowed down. Then she slammed her foot on the gas. The tires screeched and the car roared forward, right? The police, obviously, opened fire. And then you get these slow motion frames, take by take. It's slow motion all over. The glass shattering, the bullets tearing through the car's frame, the music getting louder, deeper. We see Cleo from the side window, and then she disappears. So it seems. Her head's down. So it's like, oh shit, she's hit. They got her. But the car kept moving forward, slowly, slowly, slowly. Another slow motion shot of just the wheels, just the front of the car, slowly inching forward. And you can see her frame slumped over, the top of her braids just peeking out from the top of the glass. The cigarette smoke still going in the air. And they show the car. This car got lit up. Like they were shooting like it was 1,000 men in that car. Like this car is full of bullet holes. and the music swelled as the door opened up. She's alive still. Out comes Cleo, still with the strap in her hands, like, let's go, let me take some final shots. Cigarette still in her mouth. Blood on her shirt, like blood on her face, because she got caught. She got caught a couple times, right? But she's still not ready to go out yet. She's going out like a true soldier. And they shoot her again. They're just shooting her from every angle. And obviously, after taking all of these bullets, there's no way she can survive. And she falls to the ground. And her cigarette is on the ground. There's blood everywhere. And the police cautiously approached her. Guns still raised, even though she is clearly gone. Because she's not a Marvel character, right? This is a human being who got shot over 100 times. They still got their guns up. The overhead shot of her lifeless body laying on the ground, and all these sirens and lights flashing and police going over to her with their guns still raised. That shot is iconic, but damn, it's tough. From that angle, she looks small, but to us, after everything we've seen, to me, she was a giant. And the song faded out. Even though we knew it was coming, Cleo's death never got easier to watch. The excessive force, which that's a topic in itself, right? The excessive force, the relentless gunfire, the way the cops kept shooting long after she was down, it's brutal, but that was very intentional. It's to the point so you don't miss the point. No matter what's going on, we are seen as the apex predator, the ultimate threat, whether we're harmless or not. Black people, black men, black women, black children are always seen as the worst enemy. Whether you want to believe it or not, that shot was very real. But it doesn't hurt any less. Now, Cleo didn't beg. She panicked temporarily, but she calmed down and she accepted her fate. She met her end on her own terms. That little defiance smirk before she lit that cigarette. That's why we remember this scene and remember her. Her final scene is one of the most unforgettable scenes in black cinema. That's why I'm giving it so much time now, because I've watched the movie over 50 times, but in the past few years, every time I watch it now, it just feels different every single time, because in America and all over the world, we look at how we're being seen and how we're being viewed. And a movie that was made in 1996, I don't think it would be any different if this happened today. I mean, we've seen instances where they don't shoot to get you down. They shoot to absolutely obliterate you. And that's what's tough. Cleo's character overall was a game changer. She was a masculine presenting queer black woman who wasn't a sidekick or a stereotype, right? She was the heart of that crew. And Queen Latifah, first of all, give Queen Latifah her flowers. The other ladies in this movie, they did the damn thing, right? They did what they had to do. But Cleo, that character, is a very complex and hard character to pull off the way Queen Latifah pulled it off. And that's also why she's still doing things and getting roles to this day. I think she doesn't get enough still. She should be working in blockbuster film, from blockbuster film to blockbuster film. Because Queen Latifah is a gift to all of us. She made Cleo charismatic, funny, fiercely loyal, but also that final scene turned her into an icon. The character alone. So for the woman, Queen Latifah is without a doubt an icon. Her impact was undeniable. You know, people still dress up as Cleo for Halloween. I saw a friend of mine last year who was dressed up as Cleo, and she had her daughter in a little mini Impala. Now, I don't know about that part because it was, like she had like holes in her shirt. I think that's a bit much. Right, especially for the kid. You can do that. But that just goes to show the impact that that character had. People quote her lines, they reference it all over pop culture. The Brat played Cleo in a stage version of Set It Off. They made a stage adaptation of Set It Off. That's tough. For me, Cleo stands out because she was unapologetically herself in a time where that wasn't too popular to be. Hell, it still ain't. But while it's more acceptable now, in the 90s, being a black queer masked woman, you'd get in trouble over that. Her death was tragic, but the way she went out, legendary. Absolutely legendary performance. I tip my hat to everybody who came up with not only this film, but that scene in particular. Brilliant work. Set It Off still hits just as hard as it did in 1996 today. Hell, some people might say it hits even harder now. The performances, top tier. The cinematography, it was slick here and there, but it was very intentional in that. And like I said, Cleo, absolute legend. This movie gave us a story about black women navigating a world that was never built for them. And it still resonates because, let's be real, not too much has changed. Now for March, we know it's Women's History Month. I want to keep the theme going of celebrating black women and the characters they played. No matter how you feel about them, they made an impact. And next week's film is no different. Next week I'm diving into Waiting to Exhale. And that's one of those movies that just had black women in a chokehold for the 90s, the early 2000s, you name it. And I got somebody special on this next episode just to prove how influential this film was. So you don't want to miss that one. Thank y'all for listening. And as always, until then, stay black, stay proud, and keep the soul in cinema alive. Peace and love, y'all.